The other side of it is that you can go full-time fairly quickly depending on the niche or business you are in. Mm-hmm. If you go into YouTube having a product to sell, whether a physical or digital product, you can monetize really quickly and become full-time really quickly. I know real estate agents that do coaching and consulting and things like that have very small YouTube channels, like 10,000 or less, and they are killing it financially because of the model in which they have their YouTube channel helping their business. So I just think it's accepting that it doesn't have to look like the millions. You can just build your own path in it because it is unconventional.
Welcome to the Think Media podcast. My name is Heather Torres, and I'm your host here of this show where we help you build your influence on YouTube and then turn that influence into a high impact and a high profit online business. Today, I am so excited because I am joined by one of our Think Media family members, Omar El-Takrori. In today's video, we're going to be walking through what it took to become a full-time YouTuber and 5 secrets that Omar has learned over his journey of becoming a YouTuber. Now, if you've not met Omar over on our Think Media channel, he's actually been creating video, not just with Think Media, but for the last 15 years. He's helped Think Media grow to over 2 million subscribers and has accumulated over 23 million views on videos he's created for the channel. Every day, his content is reaching thousands of people with the purpose of helping them get better with video. Omar's influenced product development for major brands like Sony, Canon, and Adobe. He's also helped dozens of industry-leading experts launch their video podcast and is an expert in the space. Let's get into today's featured conversation with Omar El-Takrori. Okay, I am beyond excited because this day is finally here. Omar, I've wanted to have you on the podcast for a few years now. We finally made it happen, and I'm excited to bring you to the Think Media fam.
Man, I'm pumped to be a part of the Think Media fam in so many ways, but excited to actually sit down and talk about a couple things that I've learned over the last few years.
Yes, and we're going to dive into some of the secrets to becoming a full-time YouTuber. You've been a full-time YouTuber for a few years now, but I'd like to take the story back, young Omar, and really how you even got into video and how you got into YouTube in general.
Yeah, I mean, it all started in high school. I took an elective, as most people get an option to, and I took broadcast journalism, and it's the people that make the morning announcements. And I always thought it was so cool because, like, second period rolls around and you watch people on screen and they make fun commercials and things like that. And so when I took that, I just fell in love with the process of creating videos and the creativity behind making videos. And so I ended up going to Target, getting like what is called like a USB flip at the time. It had a pop out USB that you could plug in your computer to transfer footage. But I started vlogging, downloaded Sony Vegas illegally because I was just in high school, couldn't afford it. But started making videos, and then some of my friends started making music. Then I started making music videos, and long story short, here I am, like almost 15 years later, and I'm now teaching all this stuff. So it's really, I found myself really in a cool position to be able to teach the things that I've learned over the course of the years. But that's kind of how it started. And then as far as like when me and Sean got connected, this was like 2016. Sean was doing YouTube kind of by himself, shooting, editing, and all that stuff. And that's when he connected with you, and he wanted to put together a course with you, Video Ranking Academy. And this is when we ran into each other at the gym. He said, let's go grab coffee. I need help. And at the time I was kind of doing freelance work, and that the rest is kind of history. That was 2016. I think the channel was at around 70,000 subs at the time. And yeah, it's been crazy. And then, fast forward to, I think around 2019 would be the first time where he put me on the channel. Like I left from being behind the camera, getting in front of the camera, and we did a collab on a couple of videos. And then slowly but surely, started making videos by myself. And here we are later, post all the crazy things where we got full-time creators, and I'm probably close to 200 videos in. And so I've learned a lot in the process. Kind of went full-time in front of the camera at around 700,000 subs, and we just recently passed 2 million. And so it's been a journey, and it's been really cool, but I'm excited to share these secrets.
It makes me so excited to have you on because I've seen your journey. I've seen you grow into becoming a full-time YouTuber from behind the camera to in front of the camera. And you're right, there are some lessons that you learned throughout that. The first one really is learn the language of video. And I want you to go deeper into that because I think that as people come into this space, They think it's just like a cash machine, right? Like bing, it's all going to work. But what does it mean to learn the language of video?
I think it encompasses so much, but I think one way I kind of try to make it similarly communicated is that I think video creation is a new form of language. 2010, they stopped teaching cursive, or they gave teachers the option to stop teaching it. And I believe like the world's newest way of communication is through video. And when I think about video being a language, I think of it in the sense of like you understanding the general gist of what it entails to create a video. What is audio? What is lighting? A little bit about editing, just a little bit, because I'm finding that most people that want to just pay their way to success, they're wanting other people to think for them in that regard, but you're robbing yourself from the ability to speak into what you are building. And so I see it like, if you go on like a vacation and you had a translator with you, it'd be kind of frustrating to make your way along the land. But if you knew the language a little bit and can get by and make a couple purchases here and there, you can find your way through the towns better. And so I would say it like just giving the time of investment to learn the video game, I guess you could say. And just this, and I think there is a level of just enough in this regard, like knowing what it is to be in focus and what it takes to have a blurry background, and knowing what kind of setup you need to go for the type of content you want to produce. I just think that committing to learning video as a language is key. And so that might just be buying a camera just to learn it, going on Think Media and watching a tutorial. That may be getting some video clips and trying to edit it yourself and learning how to add a title, and so that that it's called, put a title on that video when you're correcting your future editor. So I just think it'll help you communicate what you're trying to do over time when you learn video. And so that's what Think Media is for. That's kind of like why we exist, is so that people who know nothing about video can get started when it comes to either editing, just using your smartphone, wanting to start live streaming, starting a video podcast like this. We want to help you learn those things, and that's who I'm thinking about when I'm creating this content.
Yeah, I love so much when you talk about even just like the language of video. Even over the years, as we've seen video platforms come and go, Vine, and now we've TikTok, and now YouTube has shorts, and then long form video, and then video podcasts. Like the language is also changing too. So it's staying up to date with that. And I think, number 2 would be becoming a YouTube connoisseur and really understanding the game of YouTube, because what's incredible is that this is one of the fastest growing small business types. YouTube alone has over 400,000 full-time content creators happening, and that's just starting. Like, we're just at the beginning of this. And so for you to really speak into what does it mean to become a YouTube connoisseur and understand this platform specifically.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to win at a sport if you don't know how to play it. I picked up golf, and I learned that there's 2 ways of learning golf. Number 1 is like actually playing the sport, and the other one of it is the etiquette. Like, you could play with a group of people, and if you have the wrong etiquette, they will not want to play with you. I think learning like the etiquette of YouTube, why things work on YouTube, and what I mean by being a YouTube connoisseur, like, do you even enjoy watching YouTube videos, or do you see it as a cash grab? I mean, I genuinely enjoy, at the end of my day, going on my YouTube TV. I put my money where my mouth is. I pay for YouTube TV and or YouTube Red, and I don't know. I watch YouTube videos. I just love YouTube. I love that like everyday people can create amazing content, but also you can get the high level stuff from like whatever people you want to follow or subscribe to. But I think there's just so much when it comes to consuming YouTube videos. You're learning, you're absorbing, and then it allows you to kind of like process and how you can communicate that in your own way. And when you're creating your videos or trying to communicate to your audience and maybe hop on a trend or something, like just simply being on YouTube and consuming it can give you so many video ideas. There's this guy right now who's kind of like the new golden child of YouTube. His name's Ryan Trahan. He's literally taking over YouTube. I would say if you are listening to this video podcast and you want to be a full-time YouTuber and you don't know who Ryan Trahan is right now, you need to fall in love with the game of YouTube or become a YouTube connoisseur. And so I just think it only helps. It's hard to be an expert in something if you don't even understand how it's even happening. And so, adjusting fire, knowing that shorts are getting a lot of love. So like, what does that mean for your channel? And learning the things along the lines of what is working for other people and how other industries and niches are creating videos is just so helpful for you to carry that on in your YouTube journey.
Yeah. And I think also what I love about becoming a YouTube connoisseur as a full-time YouTuber is you do get to kind of pick from the buffet of all these different types of creators. You know, there's creators who are just using their smartphone, creating great content. And then there's creators who are building out massive studios and sets. And so it's pulling from those pieces and figuring out what's going to work for you.
And I think it helps with your voice.
It does.
You know, I've taken on communication at our church, being able to preach a couple weekends in the year. And my pastor told me that, like, you know, find 3 voices, like, and you should be a culmination of those 3 with you in it. So it really becomes you. I think in the same way, based off of your interests and who you're subscribed to and the type of videos you're attracted to, all that kind of plays a role on like the type of creator you kind of want to be. And that can actually influence you in such a good way. This video is sponsored by StreamYard. This is our go-to platform for live streaming to YouTube and Facebook, especially when we have multiple people joining us on a stream. With an incredibly easy to use interface for doing cool transitions, bringing in text on the screen, and seamlessly bringing on guests. This is the perfect platform for the new and experienced creators alike.
Next is never forget who you're serving. As you become a full-time YouTuber, it is, I mean, I'm sorry to tell you, Think Media Podcast, it is a job, right? Like becoming a full-time YouTuber, it's work, but never really forgetting who you're serving, right? Because as you grow, that doesn't mean that your audience necessarily is growing in that way. Go deeper on that for me.
Yeah, I can see how so many YouTubers who kind of just do the traditional route and build an influence on just like them, and that's kind of it. They kind of just hit, I believe, like a tipping point, and sometimes it results in like burnout, but it also results in like, dude, I'm kind of bored, and you know, I'm over this person, you know. But I think there's so much wisdom in realizing who you are constantly trying to reach. And I always like to say this, but like the person that I'm always thinking of when I'm creating content in the most healthy way possible is Heather Torres. You know, she's a mom who takes care of 3 kids, and they homeschool her and her husband, and she's trying to learn the game of video and learn the language. And so as the person who can speak it fluently, I want to always remember that she doesn't always know the terminologies I know. She doesn't always know the insider language that I know based off of the gear and the tech that I'm talking about. And so keeping her at the forefront is really helping me create videos. But I've found myself in certain seasons where I'm like just on autopilot, you know, like it's just I'm making the video just because we got to crank out another video, you know, but keeping the person that I'm trying to help. And I think we always we help, or we encourage people to always think about the person you are still trying to reach. You know, maybe you've reached a handful of them, but there's still more of those people that you need to reach. And we always encourage that the biggest group of people in any industry is the beginner group of people, the people just getting into whatever the thing it is that you are teaching. And so there are always new people coming into the game of creating content. And so I don't want to lose that. And so I don't want you to lose that. Don't lose your love for the person that's just new. We always encourage repetition. Just be repetitive. Don't get annoyed with yourself saying the same thing over and over. You got to just press record. You got to punch fear in the face. But I just think it's a key element when creating videos, especially and just take it from us, at the level we're creating videos at, uploading upwards to 10 videos a week on Think Media and the Think Media podcast combined. We are thinking about the person we are serving first, and then we go start creating.
So good. Becoming a full-time YouTuber a lot of times can be lonely. Did you ever experience being lonely becoming a full-time YouTuber? And what advice do you have to people who are wanting to step into that? What should they be looking for in building community?
Yeah, I think like you mentioned about YouTube being like a small business, like in YouTube in some sense, if you're wanting to become a full-time YouTuber, you are going on the entrepreneur journey. That's a journey I have found is kind of lonely. You know, when I first quit my job at a church I was working at and wanted to pursue just my freelance work and creative work, you know, I'm hitting up people like, hey, you want to go grab lunch? Like, sorry, man, in a meeting. Like, hey, how about tomorrow? No, I got this thing going. Like, dang, dude, I just want to grab lunch with somebody. Like, it does get lonely. Yeah. And so finding people you can connect with, whether it's in your niche or it's with people who are doing the same thing you're doing, can be so beneficial to you staying in it for the long haul. This isn't a sprint. We say that YouTube is a marathon, and if you want to last, you're going to need community to help you, encourage you when you run out of video ideas, or when you uploaded that video and you accidentally said something that might get you canceled or something, like, I don't know. But like, you need the encouragement and the community to surround you. And that's what we have at so many different levels here at Think Media. We have it on a, on an organizational level with each other, able to speak into each other and encourage each other, but also the communities we're creating for other creators, like with this podcast, like on Think Media, or our VRA students or our boot camp students. Like, we just want to create communities so people can connect with other people that are in the same journey, so that they know that they're not alone in doing this, and that you can bounce back ideas. I think the powerful thing about community is, the idea of testing. Hey, what do you think about this thumbnail versus this one? This one's much better. Like, and we have a thumbnail thread, but I still like texting Kyle. Just, this one or this one. Double tap heart, boom, helpful. I needed that. I needed to go to sleep tonight, and so I needed that affirmation, Kyle. Thank you. But I just think it's so powerful to have that community to dial in certain titles, maybe, or even talk through, like, how was your week? Why didn't you upload that video? You said you were going to upload a video. How about accountability with your community? So I think if you want to be a full-time creator, it's just kind of overlooked that you got to do it all yourself. But the reality is you're going to need a community.
Yeah. And talking about the journey of even becoming a full-time content creator, a full-time YouTuber specifically, I think it's really interesting. We've had this conversation before that to our kids, your daughter, my kids, this is quote unquote normal, right? Yeah. Like what we do, what mom and dad do, it's so funny actually seeing Ruby talk like she's on YouTube, or like she's like, hey, Papa, can I take a thumbnail? Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. And so what we're doing, what we're building as a full-time YouTuber, both of us, it's unconventional, right? This journey is unconventional, and actually leaning into that. Let's go deeper into this journey is unconventional, and that's part of becoming a full-time YouTuber.
Yeah. I think the idea of being a full-time YouTuber, being unconventional in nature, is something you just need to accept, because you said a stat, like how many YouTube creators are full-time? Like,
over 400,000.
I actually think that's dirty data.
Yeah.
Because there are people behind that 400,000 creating content, editing videos, strategically planning, coming up with video ideas. Like, we have full-time YouTubers at Think Media, I think around about 20 plus full-time YouTubers, because we all work for a channel called Think Media. So I think the nature can go so widespread. That is one angle of it. One angle of it is that you can be a full-time YouTuber like I was with Sean, not being in front of the camera, but being behind the camera. I would consider you a full-time YouTuber. You're developing the skills, you're learning the culture of YouTube, you're consuming the content. Dude, you are a YouTuber. Or dudette. The other side of it is that you can go full-time fairly quickly depending on the niche or business you are in. If you go into YouTube having a product to sell, whether physical or digital product, you can monetize really quickly and become full-time really quickly. Maybe you're a real estate agent. I know real estate agents that do coaching and consulting and things like that have very small YouTube channels, like 10,000 or less, and they are killing it financially because of the model in which they have their YouTube channel helping their business. So I just think it's accepting that it doesn't have to look like the millions. It doesn't have to look like what's traditional YouTube-y, and that you can just build your own path in it because it is unconventional. I mentioned that kid Ryan Trahan doing something that we've never seen before. Well, he's doing something unconventional. We've never seen this before. What's going to come from this? We're going to see a lot of things coming from people learning from what he's doing and doing it until there's just another Ryan or whoever the next person is doing something, again, unconventional. So I would go so far to say YouTube rewards unconventionalism. If you can figure out a way to reach your audience in a new, fresh way, that's another angle to it. But I just think the idea and the secret being that, like, you need to accept the reality that you being a full-time YouTuber is not necessarily normal.
Yeah. Okay, I'm throwing this wild card at you.
Oh, dang.
Here we go. What do you love about being a full-time YouTuber?
Oh, man. I would say maybe the first thing that comes to mind in regards to what I love about being a full-time YouTuber is when I get to meet the people in person, when I catch them at a convention or a conference and they tell me how helpful the videos are. I'm in the comments like crazy. I understand that making these videos are helping a ton of people, but it's when the people share their story real quick, whether, how it's helped them go from this place to that place, it really does make me encouraged to keep making videos. Back to community. I need the human connection still, even though, we are connected in some capacity online and all that stuff. But it's funny because there can go weeks where I don't leave like a 5-mile radius. Like Kyle Anderson Studios is maybe a 7-minute drive from my house. And
that's where we record, just so people know.
Yeah, this is where we record.
It's not really a studio, actually.
It's not a real studio. We had somebody come who thought it was an actual studio, and they're like, "Oh, it's a house."
It's a house.
Yeah. But then when I get out there and go to these conventions and conferences, I'm just so encouraged to see that the content is helping you. When people say thank you, it goes a long way for me. Like, because we make these videos kind of in an offense mentality, like whether you like it or not, we're putting out this video type thing. But just it's good to know that it's being received well and it's actually helping people. And so I would say that's one of my favorite things and one of the coolest things about being a full-time YouTuber.
What are you excited about for this next phase in YouTube? As YouTube's growing, as more people are becoming full-timers. I mean, we just heard from a student today. They just reached 100,000. They are now full-time, 100,000 subscribers. They're now full-time. They're starting to grow a team. Like, we're seeing this happen in our community on a weekly basis now. What are you excited about for the future of YouTube?
I think I'm just more excited to see it work for more people. Like, because I genuinely believe there's a space for you on YouTube and that there is a place for you and that it's not too crowded. YouTube has a way of making the idea of it being crowded like not be real, because you see everyday newcomers grow and thrive. They've just found their way of reaching their audience in a new, unconventional way. So I think it's more or less like I get excited seeing these newer creators like Orion, seeing newer creators, or even when my life is changing, like I maybe want to buy a van or an RV. And so
yes, wait, can we pause there? I'm so pumped Omar started watching van lifers.
I know. I started, and then I stumble upon people who are killing it. It's just kind of cool. It's like YouTube is just the younger brother, the older brother you never had. Like it'll be there with the people that you need help from. For my future as how I'm growing as a human being, but also the newcomers and the people who just somehow were able to hit 1 million subscribers in a month. Like, that's exciting, like to learn people who are jumping in and still finding a huge success. So I think I'm excited that the opportunity of YouTube is still wide open.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Omar, for
Dude, so fun.
We did it.
I did it.
We did it. This is the first of many times Omar's going to be.
Thank you for inviting me on your show, Heather.
I'm here for all of the firsts, But you share so much wisdom on a weekly basis over on our Think Media channel, and you've been crushing the reels right now, Omar, over on your Instagram. So make sure you follow Omar over on Instagram if you want to see not just Omar, but the cutest toddler ever, because Ruby's a content creator now as well.
She's the secret to the brand.
Yeah. So thanks, Omar, for being on.
Thank you.
Well, I hope that you got value out of that conversation. I always love having the Think fam here in the studio and on the show. Wasn't that great to get to hear a little bit more about Omar's story and, just his secrets to becoming a full-time YouTuber. And if you want to see another featured content creator here on the show, let me know in the comment section below if you are watching on YouTube. And if you've not yet rated and reviewed the podcast over on Apple iTunes and you are an avid listener over there, I'm going to encourage you to go over and actually rate and review the show. It helps us see if we're delivering the right content that you like, and it helps other content creators know that they are in the right place when they read those reviews. Today's review comes from Lori Blue Eyes, and she says, awesome team to follow. If you are even entertaining the idea of creating a YouTube channel, this is the podcast for you. Such great information. Thanks, Lori, for leaving that review. I'm so grateful for you being a part of our Think Media family, and I hope that today's episode has brought you value and that you are going to be on the path to becoming a full-time YouTuber. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching or listening on, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.